Single parenting isn't easy. We understand. Most parents don't plan to go it alone, but you can still make the most of this journey for your children and yourself. In fact, if you and your family are on that journey, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Single Parent Advocate community and to our podcast. And here are your hosts, single parent founder Stacy Poitras, and broadcast journalist, single dad and friend, Daryl Moody.
Hi there. Welcome back to the Single Parent Advocate podcast. I am Daryl Moody, joining you once again from my home here in Orlando, Florida. She is the Single Parent Advocate, Stacy Poitras, joining us once again from the beautiful, posh, luxurious SPA studios there at Work Innovators Network at VentureX Castle Hills in Dallas, Texas. Stacy, how are you?
I'm doing great. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. We're really excited that this week is kind of coming to a close. It's been busy.
I'm feeling the Friday vibes for sure. So let's jump right into what you guys are doing there at Single Parent Advocate. Catch us up to date. I know Father's Day is right around the corner and back to school looms even larger beyond that. What are you working on right now?
So I just kind of rolled out locally a call to action for everybody to help us find funding to get some dads and grads, some extracurricular activities and tickets, fun things that they can do with their kids. A lot of our single dads that we serve get their kids for the summer right after school is out. And, just like single moms, a lot of single dads really run on fumes as far as time and treasure, right? So we want them to be able to get real quality time with their kids. And so our philosophy is if we can get tickets to a baseball game or, some kind of family fun, whether it's a water park or we've done bowling before. We've sent people to FC Dallas games or there's a Frisco Rough Riders here in town. We just want to send these families out to get good quality time so that dads can really connect with their kids. I know that's really on their hearts. And, so we're here to honor them, and we're going to be looking for sponsors to underwrite a single dad and their kids to be able to go to have some family fun and togetherness without really, crashing the budget, so to speak, for Father's Day in mid-June. Sure. And then every year during back to school, we spend anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000 on school supplies. That's backpacks, everything you can think of for children, whether they're working on their school from home remotely or whether they're going into a building somewhere. We really want to empower these kids with all that they need for back to school, all the kids from our single parent families here in Dallas. These kids, typically are awesome. They accept whatever we give them. And so we always want to give them the best. One of the most difficult things really to think about is, some of the science classes require like these mathematical calculators, scientific calculators. And, while some people use their phones, they have a smartphone. A lot of kids don't have a smartphone and they need to get the actual calculator. So
the old TI-86.
There you go. So, you gotta pull $100 out of your pocket for that sometimes. So we have a lot of volunteers who really work hard to find all of the different deals that are going on, whether it's at Walmart or dollar stores, and they go out and they start right now looking for deals for all of our single families and their kids to get the best possible products at the lowest possible prices. And so our sponsors like that because they just, underwrite the purchase of what we put in the hands of the children, and the parents are just always so very grateful. So we're looking at doing that this summer again at the end of July. We need everybody to help us replace that money so that, we can keep moving on. So,
well, you said before we started recording, running a nonprofit organization is very similar to running a business. And right now you're in the mode of gathering donations and money to use to spend. But you also said you're sending folks out to buy supplies now when they can find them on sale. Talk to us a little bit about the nuts and bolts and the legwork of something like a back to school backpack drive like the one you're planning.
Well, over the years as we've grown, we had a lot at the beginning where we would, do a donation drive, and we would go to our area Huffines dealer. Huffines Automotive is a local sponsor in the Dallas area, a very big sponsor of ours. And they would put out boxes and
Right.
people would come and bring school supplies. But then what would happen is what people brought didn't, even if we made a list, didn't necessarily match up, and we'd end up going shopping anyway, right? So what we've done is we've decided to comb through all of the ISDs, stay really, really close for all of the different happenings as it relates to being safe, being virtual, being in person. What's that look like? How can we best forecast for our kids what they are going to need, whether they're, going into pre-K or whether they're a soon-to-be senior and graduating, right? And so those lists are very different among all the different ISDs, all of the different grades. We create a spreadsheet that would impress you. And we have a tracker for where all the best prices were the year before and about what time they came out. And we're in the starting blocks. We're ready to go and, advocate on behalf of our families. And really, when we're advocating on behalf of our families, we're advocating on behalf of our sponsors, making sure that those dollars that are invested go as far as possible for as long as possible in the lives of each of the families that are nominated for our programs.
You had mentioned the individual school districts. Have they made a decision about whether they're going to offer the virtual option next year? Because I know here in Central Florida, basically all of the school districts around Orlando have announced that they're, the state funding doesn't exist for it anymore because it was all funded through emergency measures. But they're basically saying, no, you either go through the school district's traditional virtual school, as they call it, or you come to class. There's not going to be a learning from home option, similarly to the way we had it during the pandemic. So what are they doing in Texas?
I think it's pretty close to the same, Daryl. I didn't brush up on that before we got together today, but that's certainly a great topic for us to stay in touch with and maybe intentionally put it together. But my vibe is everybody's going back to school. Real deal.
Yeah. And we'll come up with a great back to school episode of the Single Parent Advocate podcast for you folks, for sure. Let's talk about Father's Day a little more imminent for you. You said you're getting your single fathers to do some networking while also calling for donations. Talk to me about the networking.
Well, basically, just trying to go and get them to know each other. Our men in our communities are, really wanting to recognize single fathers. Oftentimes a single father is a peer in the business industry. They may be somebody, at a Chamber of Commerce or Rotary, sometimes a single father is somebody who, is just shoulder to shoulder with you in your career. And, they kind of keep it low key about, having their kids sometimes.
We don't wear shirts that say single dad.
Nothing's,
work,
they never say or indicate anything, but oftentimes they are feeling the squeeze, every bit of the squeeze that a single mom feels as well. And so we really want to recognize and hold them up and give them, ideas. Okay. Am I right? Men and ideas, you go to your kids for your ideas. Hey, what do you want to do? And you try to work it out as a family. What do we want to do for Father's Day? But isn't that a little weird? Hey, how do you want to celebrate my day, everybody? And so we want to.
But as fathers, we think of everybody else first. You know what I mean? So the gift for us on Father's Day, at least I'm speaking for myself, but just being in the company of my kids, that's my gift. So it's like, what do you want to do that we can all enjoy together? Because you probably don't want to watch golf all day and drink, like I do. So it's like, what's something that we can all collectively agree on that we're all going to enjoy?
So let's say it's going to a baseball game, or it's going bowling, or it's going, to get ice cream, or, having a picnic in Texas in the middle of June is easily 103 degrees, if not more. So, we want our dads to be able to have something in their hands, some ideas to be able to go. It could be going out to eat. It could be going to Topgolf, depending on the age of your children. Like you're saying, it could be just a day at home with a gift basket full of movies and, things just to know you've got some thought starters and some things you can do, and you're not alone in this.
Well,
you got friends.
As far as planning outings with other single dads, you get to explore what I call zone defense, which is where you and the other dad kind of cover a certain amount of space, and you're like, okay, if one of the kids wanders off over there, you reel them back in. If one of the kids wanders off over here, I'll go grab him. My buddy calls it zone defense. But to your point, with this Father's Day gift that you're trying to plan, it's great to get these dads together now so they can go to the soccer game later together. You know what I mean? You can, you get these guys together and then they can plan those outings for Father's Day. A great idea.
Yeah. So eventually, I'll hopefully be able to tell you, Daryl, that we're able to get lots of single dads together. And you and I have both talked about, really wanting to emphasize what good looks like in single fatherhood. Mm-hmm. And, so we'll be definitely covering that as we move forward with the podcast. But for now, I'm just looking for some folks to underwrite a few gifts of love for the dads that we have here in Dallas to be able to kind of hang up their hat for the day, spend some quality time with their kids, and not really worry, is it $100? Is it $250? Is it what is it going to take to make a collective exhale and smile in the life of that family? And, we want to make that come together and them not be able to worry about the budget for just a day,
So with that being said, let's drive folks to singleparentadvocate.org, click the donate button, contribute a little bit to this effort, and hopefully we can brighten the Father's Day for some folks there in the greater Dallas area.
Absolutely. We are very grateful, as are all of our families and anybody who leans in at Single Parent Advocate, whether it's in the national social media realm or whether it's in Dallas. We truly are a community, and it really resonates when somebody gets underneath the lives of a single mom or dad, truly, and or the children, which brings us to the topic today. We're going to be talking about single parent children.
Well, I want to share a story with our viewers and listeners, kind of a single parenting triumph, if you will. I don't know if I call it a triumph, but it was certainly a high point for me this week. It was an email that my oldest daughter, Elise's PE coach, sent to her mom this week, talking about something that had happened at school. Okay. I'm going to read the email to you because it kind of sets up the story. This is really great. So, my daughter's mother's name is Kelly. That starts off, "Hi, Kelly. I wanted to send you a quick email to let you know how awesome Elise is. We're letting the kids choose what they like to play this week since it's the last full week of school. The kids chose soccer, jump rope, tennis, etc. Elise wanted to run the mile. I can't name one other kid who willingly would choose to run the mile in class. Other students joined in, but they all quit after one lap. She ran all 9 laps, which equals a mile, and she ran it in 12 minutes and 43 seconds. Today, Elise was my inspiration. She has matured so much and is incredibly responsible and hardworking. Anyways, I thought you'd like to hear. Have a wonderful day, Miss Palaz." So Miss Palaz is my daughter's PE coach. So my ex-wife sends that email to me, and she says, "I am crying. Miss Palaz just sent me this email." And I didn't get a chance to follow up with Miss Palaz myself until a couple of days later when I dropped the girls off at school. I want to say it was Thursday morning. And I pulled up and stopped and I said, Miss Palaz, I just want to thank you so much for the kind note that you wrote about Elise, and you sent it to her mom. She sent it to me. Just thank you so much for thinking so much of my daughter. And she said, Mr. Moody, I have to be honest with you. She really was my inspiration yesterday. She said, I don't know what you and your ex-wife are doing with these kids, but continue to do it, because whatever it is, it's working. And I told her, I said, I tell my girls all the time, you can lose, you can fail, you can make a mistake, you can screw up, you can botch it, you can do whatever, but I will not allow you to quit. And you will give your best effort. And if you're going to do something like, say, I want to run the mile, you got to run all 9 laps. You got to run the mile. And Ms. Palaz went on to say that Elise, she called her the most intelligent and mature second grader that she's ever dealt with at school. And I got to be honest, Stacy, for someone who has spent the better part of the last 3 years agonizing over what my separation and divorce, what impact that's going to have on my kids, it meant the world to me for somebody to say, hey, listen, I deal with your kids every day, and she's got her head screwed on right.
Of course she does. Go ahead and gloat a little more, Daryl. Go ahead. Let's see you gloat.
Listen. Like I said, I talk to my shrink about it all the time, how worried I am that getting divorced and my kids coming from a broken home. I've agonized over the last 3 years about what that impact would have on my kids. I see you don't like my reaction.
I don't like it when single moms and dads call their homes broken. I really just don't like it. It just kind of, if I had a buzzer, I would go, me.
Well, you thankfully you have blogged about this very subject, about the bias and the stigma that's attached to kids that come from divorce homes. And in your assertion, they're heroes. They're not zeros.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. I love it when we compare stories. Remind us all again, how old is Elise?
Elise is 7. She'll be 8 next month in June. She'll be 8 in June. Claire will be 6 in August.
So very young.
Yeah.
Running a mile. That's huge. She's going to be like a soccer star. Who knows what all she's going to be able to accomplish with that kind of discipline and interest in running, and fitness. Maybe this will be something really awesome for her, especially with all the dancing.
She's always been taller than most of the kids, bigger and stronger than most of the kids. And as Miss Palaz said, quote, she's a beast, which, I take that as a compliment when we're talking about, athletic endeavors.
Well, so I guess, you brought up my article, and I'm glad you did, and I was taken aback by my own son. He was, I guess, maybe early high school, and, every day is an adventure in a single parent home, and you and I are just comparing notes, but I'm sure everybody out there has had like all different kinds of combinations of moments where there's been the proud moment with the teacher, there's been the feeling like you failed or you're gonna fail, that anxiety that comes from that. And so I just preface what I'm gonna say right now with the fact that the stigma that Daryl, you just talked about with the world thinking that, oh, you came out of a single parent home, you're not, good luck to you. You're
somehow deficient,
Yeah. But I think that we as single parents also need to acknowledge that sometimes we have that stigma in our own heads and our own hearts.
I made that very clear.
And we need to really acknowledge that. And even though we're our children's biggest fans, we are also the biggest ones to kind of confront them maybe, and maybe not trust them as much, and so I just wanted to kind of float that out there. And but my article, Single Parent Children Are Heroes Not Zeros, happened, I wrote it in Christmas one year. My son had been just starting to drive, and at Christmas time, when in our home we were both dancing and singing on stage with our church. I was in 2 or 3 different sections, and it was a big deal. Very, very involved with rehearsal, and this is on top of work and single parent advocates efforts. And so we were just hi, you doing okay? And so it was a time when we were both very, very busy. And then he always had, year or term tests, at the end of the semester. His social life, usually involved being in a community theater musical as well as in the musical at our church. And then, needing to, feed and clothe ourselves and rest. And it was just always mayhem. And so I would always read the notes from the teachers, or the emails, but it was almost like there was Teflon up here. It didn't stick. Even if I put it in my calendar, or I had a task list or a note in my phone, whatever, there were times when I really felt like I failed my son. And this was one of the mornings. Okay, so he knocks on my door. Mom, I need a Christmas shirt for class. Okay, you heard the silence just now. That was exactly the silence that I felt at the moment. I'm like, what? And
And what was it like April or something?
Yeah, no, it was like the day of, and it was like he had been growing. He's becoming a young man, and so there wasn't like I could go get something to give him for a Christmas shirt. I needed a little more notice, and so I had decorated the house with Christmas items, right? So I went and I grabbed a few items. There was a Santa hat, and I had some ears, some reindeer antlers, but no shirt. I had no shirt. I couldn't even find a red shirt or a green shirt, And so I said, honey, I don't have a Christmas shirt, and but I have these, and you can wear like a cool shirt and then wear those, and that could be your outfit. And he was not enthused. He was kind of like, the same kind of silence I had when he asked me for the shirt was the same kind of silence he had whenever I came up with my last minute effort to help him. And he's like, oh, I guess that'll do. And, he was always so gracious, so kind, so cooperative, even when he was let down. Even if I was the last mom in the school to pick him up, or the last mom to walk in for the meeting, or had to miss a lot because I was working, and he just really moved me. He moved me with how cooperative and respectful and emotionally mature he was in handling all the different variables and trying to watch me handle all the different variables, even when I lost my temper, I would stress about his spelling tests, and I would fuss at him and he would cry. And later I would apologize. We've talked about the power of apology, and it doesn't doesn't give you an excuse to go off the handle. But if it happens, he always had the ability to forgive me, and I just had to take pause in that moment, before racing off to work and go, my son is one of my heroes. And I think of all the kids I've met that have been growing up in single parent homes that I have had the privilege to be close to, they are astounding young men and women. I mean, they are proactive. They have to help around the house. They mentally understand and have a maturity beyond their years in many cases.
Oh, for sure.
And they, understand when things don't come together the way you want to, and how you need to have can-do attitude and an overcomer spirit, and they're resourceful, quick on their feet, charming. I really feel like when I wrote this, I wanted there to be something on the books or on Google, so to speak, about how the children in single parent households, they're not losers. They're not. They are winner chicken dinners, and they really are inspiring. And we've met a few people, Kelly Aceta, a couple of the other people we're soon to bring to the podcast, that were raised in a single parent home, and what they had to get past and what they've become are true inspirational stories. And inspirational stories are unfolding in the life of your home right now, Daryl,
For sure.
in your girls. And, I just think we need to be careful about the limitations we set in our minds and our hearts around the lives of single parents, whether you're a teacher, whether you're somebody that's looking to hire an intern. There may be some flexibility or transportation stuff to get around, but these kids, they will impress you. They will, if you give them a chance.
I don't know if I got to tell the story last week, but there was one night last week where the girls and I had dinner out on the deck, and I got done eating and I had a glass of wine, and Elise says, "No, Daddy, stay there, finish your wine. I'll take care of the dishes." And I'm not kidding you, Stacy. She did the dishes from start to finish, unloaded the dishwasher. There were certain things she couldn't reach, so she just left them on the counter. But she emptied the dishwasher, loaded the dishwasher. She even hand washed 2 flower vases after she was done with the dishes. I mean, I was blown away. And at one point I go in there and I want to, I'm like, no, I don't want you to do everything. I want you to help me, but I don't want you to do everything. She goes, "No, Daddy, I want you to sit out there with Claire and enjoy your wine. I'll take care of this." And so to your point, I mean, I kind of entered into this single parenting process with this innate bias. But to your point, I'm learning, through experiences like what Elise did for me last week and this week with the PE coach. I'm seeing what you were talking about, in that these kids are incredibly mature and their ability to adapt. I'm impressed with what I've seen from my kids so far, for sure.
One of the things that I would really invite you and all of our community to do is to recognize our kids when they really shine. And that is not just on the soccer field or when they get a good test score. When they shine in the home, or, if you're a churchgoer in church, you see them, when they make you proud, make something of it. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about like a little sticky note, or, I would make these coupons periodically, and we would like draw something out of the jar, and we would go do one of his favorite things,
Free trip to whatever park the kids like.
Yeah, and of course, if it's it'll be age appropriate and gender appropriate, because I'm sure, well, maybe there's some little girls that would like to go play paintball, but, I didn't want to go play paintball. So I would say, okay, you can go take a friend, but that was a treat. Like, no, you did something. I want you to know, I want this to stick with you, And I ended up saying yes all the time to all kinds of things, because he just ended up really having the heart and soul of somebody that you love to be around. He really is a wonderful young man. As he's grown, we've had our differences, but I will always be proud of his heart and about who he is as it relates to patience and flexibility and being cooperative and encouraging to others,
I'm going to say this to you, just like I said to a friend of mine last week who was down here at Disney World celebrating her son graduating sigma cum laude or whatever that means. You know, one of these top graduates at Ohio State University, and she, like you, raised the kid on her own. So, I mean, I hope you take pride in that, because your son wouldn't be the man that he is were it not for your influence and your rearing.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, no, that's, for sure. And I know, none of us are perfect. And we can, even if we're not perfect, we can still, you know, open the door of life to a wonderful human being. And a wonderful human being is, somebody who makes your heart glow when you have an interaction with them, just like that teacher did with Elise,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we just need to get past ourselves and drop this word broken. Drop it. Our kids are not broken.
I won't
We're
say
not
it again.
broken. It needs to, a vase can be broken, right? We can have a part on our car that can be broken. But just because we have a living situation that had to change for, what do we call it? The 5 Ds, Daryl? And Daryl is not a D. It's divorce, death, disease, disability, and decision. All of these things are paths that lead us to where we've chosen to be a single parent, and, that doesn't make us broken. That we've had a life situation that has changed. We may feel broken, but truly, if we allow ourselves to feel broken, then we're going to make our kids feel broken. And that's not healthy for them. That's not healthy for us. And so I want to recognize, you as a hero in the life of your child for sure, but also know that she's a little hero herself.
And Stacy, thank you for educating me once again, as you do every week here on the Single Parent Advocate podcast. I love it. I hope, as we talk about almost every week, I hope that the listeners and the viewers, take something away from our conversation too. I mean, I'm at the early stages of the process of single parenting. You've been through many of the things that I have ahead of me. And I love that we're able to get together every week and kind of share our experiences and our stories. And I really do, Stacy, I do always learn something from you every week. This week it was the 5 Ds.
Well, I learned everything from you and everybody too. And, it's wonderful to know that our life is meaningful, and thank you. And I'm wanting to hear everybody else's stories too someday. Maybe we can do a forum or something, or people can comment on the YouTube. We have a YouTube now. And so people could comment some of their stories on YouTube. Yeah.
My kids watch so many YouTube videos. Oh my word.
What
Stacey,
do all the YouTubers say? Subscribe.
Yeah. Click the like button, subscribe.
Share the love, you guys.
Yes.
If you guys want to participate and share some stories, good stories, we'd love to hear them.
And again, a reminder, Father's Day is around the corner. Back to school stuff, singleparentadvocate.org. Click the donate button, support all of the tremendous work that Stacy and her team of volunteers do. Stacy, I that's all I got for this week. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to tell everybody that we are starting a new fundraising platform. I'm going to be posting about it pretty quickly. It's called Make Shopping Count. And so you can go to Make Shopping Count and find Single Parent Advocate. And so if you are somebody who is an office manager and you buy office supplies for your company, or you're a family that just is ordering online, you can go to Make Shopping Count. You can select Single Parent Advocate as your charity of choice. Mm-hmm. And then, they'll send us money to help buy the school supplies and continue the work. And that's a great way to donate. When you don't have necessarily a lot of extra cash, you can take care of yourself and then participate in shopping online this way. And the program really supports the kids and us as well. Similar model to BBVA when you open up an account there, or when you go to Amazon Smile and pick Single Parent Advocate there. So
And
three
folks,
different ways you can take care of yourself and still support the Single Parent Advocate community.
And for the latest on that, we should follow you on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, I'll be probably putting that together next week. But for all of our podcast family, early.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, want to thank you once again for joining us on the Single Parent Advocate. I am Daryl Moody. She is Stacy Porthers, the Single Parent Advocate. Thank you, folks, so much for joining us, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye, everybody.